Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with a beautiful set of spring floral nails. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my 180 sanding band to remove the shine from the natural nail. So remember, whenever you're doing acrylics, you want to make sure that you prep the nail really good. You want to get all the shine off the nail, because if not, it will cause lifting. So once again, I'm using a 180 sanding band, and remember, go around the cuticle area really good, because that's where most of your lifting comes from. So a lot of the time 80 to 85% of your lifting comes from not prepping your nail correctly, so keep that in mind. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to go in with a nail file to just shape up her natural nails, and then we're going to start gluing on her tips. So remember, when you're applying the nail tips, if one nail is too small and one is too big, you always want to go with the bigger one and just file it down on the sides, because for the most part, if a nail tip is too small anyways, it's not going to stick to the nail because you're trying to force it down. So you always want to go with the bigger one to prevent any lifting or cracking, because that nail wants to come back up since it's too small. So once again, if one nail is too small and one's too big, always go with the bigger one and just file the sides down to make it fit perfectly. And the nail tip has to fit from one side to the other, and you want to make sure that it's not over the skin, because that will also cause it to lift. Alrighty, so the nail tips that I'm using are the nail tips from my website, and then I'm using my KDS glue as well, which is also on my website, and it's down for restocking again. It will be up pretty soon, so please bear with me. And yeah, so we're just gonna glue down all her tips. You want to make sure that you hold your finger when you're doing this, that way their nails aren't crooked, and hold it as straight as you can. And if you have to hold their hand a different way, or just however, just make sure that their nails are straight. Usually if one nail is crooked, I don't ever try to file it into shape. I always just like to take it off and just do it over. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go in with our tip cutter to cut her nails down to the desired length. So she does want like a medium length, and then she's gonna get coffin nails. So after I cut down all her nails, I'm gonna measure them against the other hand, so they're nice and even. And after this, I'm going to get a regular nail clipper and cut the sides of the nails. So here I'm measuring the nails, as you can see, trying to make sure that both fingers on each hand are the same size. And then once again, I'm going to get a regular nail clipper to cut the sides. That way we save time when we're shaping, because we're taking away those corners out that we would be taking out when we file. So by doing this, we're just going to save time. Alrighty, so now I'm just going in with my nail file to shape her nails. So once again, she wants a coffin shape. So remember, you want to alternate from side to side when you're filing. That way you don't file too much on one side, then your nail be crooked. So just alternate from side to side, and then whenever I file my tip, I do it at a 90 degrees angle. That way I get a nice and straight tip. And if you have to lift your hand and turn it over to where you look at it from a different angle, that's fine too. But I'm pretty good at just being able to get a straight nail since I've been doing it for so long. But whatever you have to do, especially if you're a beginner, if you have to hold your hand up facing towards them or just whatever, just do whatever you have to do. So once again, I'm using a nail file to shape up her nails, and as you can see, this process is really fast because we already took out a lot of that length or a lot of the nail that we would have to just file, and we did that by cutting the sides of the nails. And you would do the same thing if you were doing a coffin, or not coffin but stiletto nail. The only difference would be you would try to cut a little bit more with the nail clipper. That way you will save even more time when you're filing into a stiletto shape. Also, whenever I shape my nails, I go back and file the tip in the middle, and that's just to blend the tip. Like right here, I'm just making it blend. That way it looks a little bit more natural once the acrylic is on the nail. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to dust off her nails and we're going to go in with our primer. So I'm using my OPI Bondex, and for my acrylic I'm using my Mia Secret Pink, my Mia Secret Cover Pink, and then I'm using that neon yellow color that I mixed up the other day. And if you haven't already watched my video on how to make colored acrylic, I'll leave the link in the description, because this yellow is one of the ones that I made. So once again, I'll leave that video in the description. So this pink, it would be like an ombre, so I'm going to do the yellow towards the tip and I'm going to brush it down, and then I'm going to blend it in the middle. And then for the back of this nail, I'm going to use my Cover Pink. That way it blends really good. And for my brush, I'm using my Alpha brush in a number 9, and I do have a promo code. It is by Alpha Brushes, so I have a promo code for their website, so I'll leave it in the description as well as their link. So once again, this is my Mia Secret Cover Pink, and I get this one from eBay, so I'll leave the link in the description as well. And then that yellow is one that I mix, and I'll leave that link in the description as well to my other tutorial. So remember, when you're applying your acrylic, you want to just make sure you use the product that you need. You don't want to go in with a big ball, because especially if you're a beginner, it's going to be all over the place, because I'm sure a lot of the time when you first start off, it's hard to get that right ratio as far as the liquid and the powder, so it takes a minute. So remember, just work with the product that you can control, because even me, that I've been doing nails for a while, I still don't like working with a lot of product, because I just don't, it never worked for me. So once again, I'm using my Mia Secret acrylics, and then I'm also using my pink one, which is the one that I always use as a, basically like just at the top over the ombre ones, because I don't want to do that pink one too close to, or I don't want to overlap it with the neon yellow, because I want it to blend and I don't want it to be too much pink, if that makes sense. So I kind of go back and use the other pink, which is like a really translucent pink, almost clear, and that way it kind of just encapsulates that color. So right here I'm using that same pink by Mia Secret. And then you want to make sure that when you're applying the flowers, you do a thin layer of acrylic, which I did the pink acrylic by Mia Secret, and then you just kind of tap the flowers. That way they kind of sink into the acrylic when it's still wet. As you can see here, the acrylic kind of dried a little bit, so it wasn't staying on. So I'm going to go back and add a little bit more acrylic and apply the flower on the acrylic while it's still wet, and just pat the flower down. And then I'm going to go in with my same pink acrylic to encapsulate those flowers. And you can use clear. The only reason why I'm using my Mia Secret pink powder is because it's almost clear, like you can't even tell that it has a pink tint to it. So that's why I'm using that one, but of course you can use clear. So once again, you do your layer of whatever color. So I did the little layer of the Mia Secret cover pink, and then I did a little bit of the pink acrylic. I laid the flowers on top of it, patted them down, and then I encapsulated that with my Mia Secret pink acrylic, or you can use clear. Alrighty, so for the middle finger, I'm just going to go in with my Mia Secret cover pink, and that's just going to be a full pink nail with this Mia Secret cover pink acrylic. And for the index finger, I'm going to go in with that same neon yellow acrylic, and I'm just going to do a little bit like across the nail. As you can see, it's a really thin layer, and then I'm going back with some glitter, and this glitter is like a, I don't know, it's like an iridescent glitter. As you can see, it kind of has different colors to it. So what I did is I dipped my brush into the pink acrylic, and then I dipped it into the powder and applied the glitter on there. And now this is my Mia Secret cover pink. So I just did a little bit at the back closer to the cuticle area and brushed it down towards the tip. As you can see, it kind of overlapped that yellow a little bit, and then I'm gonna go back in and encapsulate that with my Mia Secret pink, or once again, you can use clear. So for my thumb, I'm going to do the same thing. I did that neon yellow down towards the tip. I blended it in the middle, and then now I'm going in with my Mia Secret cover pink to blend it in the middle, or to to blend it in the middle. And then I'm gonna go back in with my pink Mia Secret to encapsulate those two colors. And once again, whenever you're doing acrylics, you want to make sure that you stay away from that cuticle area, or you don't want any of your acrylic on the actual skin, because it will cause your nail to lift. So be careful with that. Always go back and clean around the cuticle area really good, and also make sure that while you're working, you clean your brush off really good, because a lot of the time whenever you have bumps and lumps in your acrylic, that's because most likely your brush is dirty, so it's not able to just lay your acrylic down smoothly, because that acrylic will keep getting stuck to your nail brush, and it's just going to keep building on and building on and building on until you have a really dirty, gooey brush. So you want to make sure every time you use your brush, you dip it into the powder and wipe the brush, or brush the nail, you wipe it on the paper towel and then dip it back into the liquid. You want to make sure, once again, that you clean your brush a lot while you're working, especially when you're doing glitters, because that glitter gets all over the place. Alrighty, so after we finish applying the acrylic, we're going to go back and redefine our shape. So I'm using my same nail file, and once again we're just redefining that shape. Usually after you apply your acrylic, it kind of takes away from the shape of the nail. The sides aren't as sharp as they were before, so that's why we're just going back and redefining that shape. And after this, we're going to go in and file our nails. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go in with my fine drill bit to file the acrylic, and remember, you want to make sure that you focus around that cuticle area. As you can see, I always just keep going back and forth around that cuticle area because you want to seal that acrylic really good. A lot of the time, if you have lifting, it's either coming from you not prepping your nail correctly at the beginning, or you not filing around this cuticle area like you should. So the way to know if you correctly or if you filed around that cuticle area really good, you should be able to see their cuticle, the natural nail, and the acrylic. And when I say that, I don't mean that there needs to be a big gap to where it looks like they need to fill, just enough to where you know that the acrylic is not over the skin. So remember, always focus on that cuticle area, and if you work smarter and not harder, then you won't have a lot to file anyways. You just want to file that acrylic around the cuticle to seal it so no water gets under there, because if not, it will lift. Alrighty, so once again, we're using our fine drill bit, and then after we finish filing all the nails, we're gonna go in and buff the nails. So remember, whenever you buff the nails, you're just getting any of the scratches left from your e-file. So we just want to make sure that the nails are nice and smooth. And I always go back after I buff each nail. I run my finger across the top of the nail to make sure that there's not any bumps or lumps or any scratches on it. So that's why you see me run my finger over the nail to make sure that it's good. And then if it's nice and smooth, then I go over to the next hand. So I did get these buffers from eBay, so I'll leave the link in the description. So I dust the nails off, and now I'm going back to wipe them off with an alcohol wipe. And the reason why I wipe them off is just for time's sake. I don't have time to have my client go wash their hands, so that's why I dust them off and then just wipe them off with an alcohol wipe. That way we don't waste time on going to wash her hands. So now I'm just going in with my IBD gel top coat, and then we're going to cure them for 60 seconds, and that's going to be it. So as you can see, there was no polish used. This was a no polish nail set. The only thing I'm using is my gel top coat, and they turned out so pretty. Alrighty y'all, so this is the final look. They turned out so pretty. Those colors just look flawless together. This is probably one of my favorite sets from a while. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNailed32, and I'll see you guys in my next video.